should put that one on here actually. Erfa is used to say how long something happened. So erfa tamo for a while, or tamo just means a little while. Or you can say erfa bliana would be for a year. You could say erfa ura and chlig would be for an hour of the clock.
Nope.
For an hour. Okay. Erfa Van Nomed for 2 minutes. Okay, so you put whatever time is. So this is used for saying how long something. Erfa. So erfa tamo for a while. Wulshe the skriv nori ella. So he met with other writers. The word skriv, to write, skriv nor is a writer, and skriv nori are writers. Okay. Now the word bul has a couple meanings in Irish. So if you say wul me a, that means I beat him. Okay. Wul me lesh means I met him. Okay. So wul she le skriv noriella means he met other writers. If you say wul she skriv noriella, it means he beat other writers. Okay. Not meaning doing better than them, it means physically beating them. Okay. So you use the word le to basically you meet with them. Kind of like hit with them means you miss them, as opposed to hit them. Okay. So wulshe le skriv noriella agus falsiu quid veg da chijdanta, and a small amount of his poems were published. First of all, the word falsi is publish. So you want to say in sentence C I have there, he published the book Dalshishe and Lauer. He published the book. The word falsiu means it was published. So falsiu and Lauer, the book was published. And if you look at an Irish book, typically in the the inner page with the dates and all that, falsiu e Malaclia, for example, will be published in Dublin. So you'll see that expression, that word falsiu, there a lot. That the difference between dalshi and falsiu, dalshi you're going to say who did it. Falsiu you're not saying who did it. You're just saying it was published. Okay? It's kind of like it's what's called a free verb in Irish, servriher. And we've seen a couple other words that are like that, like the word rogu was born. Okay? You're not saying who actually bore you. You're just saying you were born. Okay? Togu was raised. You're just saying I was raised somewhere, but you're not saying who raised you necessarily. If you do that, you have to change it around. Okay? And so usually when you have these words, and you have to after we see more of them, you get used to when recognizing them. But they end in ADH, EADH, or IODH, are these words that kind of mean that something was done, as opposed to saying who someone did something. Okay. I'll point them out as we run across them. Okay. So falsiu quid veg. So were published. Quid is part. Quid veg is a small part. Da quid danta, of his portion of poems, basically. Okay. So the word quid means a part or a portion. And a lot of times when something is yours, you don't just say that you have it. You say you have, you talk about not just my, like hair, for example, is grug. You don't, there's a better one to be ishka. Okay, water. Okay, you have a glass of water. You don't talk about ma'ishka or mishka. You say machidishka, my portion of, my part of water. Okay? And things that tend to kind of be a mass in Irish, you use this word quid in front of them. So machidte, my tea. You don't just say mate or mahe, you say machidte. Hair, you don't say magrug, you say machidgruga. Okay, my portion.
Which means small part?
It means portion or part. Okay, so the main meaning is really part, but it's used in Irish whenever you're talking about things that tend to be kind of a blob that you'd have some of. Okay?
But they're two separate words, right?
It's the same word, it's just used differently.
Okay.
Okay? So it's used two different ways in this sentence. Okay? It's used in when you say da chij danta, dan is a poem, danta are poems. A chij danta is his portion of poems, I mean just his poems. Okay? when I say Mochijishka, my water, it means it's not my portion of water. I mean, you would translate it in English as my water. Okay, Mochijte, my tea. Mochijbanya, my milk. Okay, Mochij Arigij, my money. Okay, so things that you sort of can have more or less of, you tend to use that. Even for kids, you say Mochij Pashchi, my children. Okay. I guess those are kind of a mass, especially if you have a lot of them, right? Okay. So.
Can you say the whole sentence now so I can hear the whole sentence?
Okay, I will get to it in a second. Okay. So, Chwij Danta are his poems or his portion of poems. Chwij Veg is a small amount. So Chwij Veg da Chwij Danta is a small amount of his poems. Okay, or his portion of poems. Okay, so I'm going to read the whole sentence. So, Dilshe London fat tamul, woshe le skriv nori ella, agus falshio quij veg da quij danta. Okay, so let's go through this. So, Dilshe London fat tamul, woshe le skriv nori ella, agus falshio quij veg da quij danta. Okay. That word da, those two words da quij. Comes from je. Comes from je or quij, and these two kind of combine to be da. And je means of, is his, quij is portion. So je or quij would be da quij. So of his portion of poems, okay? For example, if you wanted to say something that was of his mother, you could say da water would be je'a of his mother, okay? So he got something from his mother, you could say da water. For shalitcher da water, he got a letter from his mother, da water, and just gets contracted. And also, there's a lot of stuff in here that's new. My purpose in doing reading, by the way, and going through this, is so you'll be exposed to it. I'm not expecting you to memorize it. I'm not going to test you on giving you a full passage and expecting you to write it out in Irish. I'm not really expecting you to learn all the vocabulary and all that here. What's going to happen is as we start doing more and more reading stuff, you're going to find some things get repeated a lot, and those are the things that will hopefully stick with you. The things that are, words like falsuna, philosophy. I'm not going to be bringing a lot of philosophy stuff in here, so probably we're going to forget this word, okay? I don't think I'm going to put this word on a quiz, for example, because I'm not really pushing for you to learn all of that. It's really exposure to the stuff, and so we're kind of working through it. You'll find as we go on, it's going to get easier and easier to go through these. Okay? So let's go to number 11. Kuru madgun nathnado agus hitche imrale turch. So we'll come back to the sentence. First of all, the word athna is acquaintance. Okay, so the way you ask someone if they know someone, and this is a useful expression, is you ask basically, do you have acquaintance on them, or do you have familiarity with them? And well, athna agat Hyun, do you know John? Well, athna agat Hyun. Okay, so is there athna's knowledge, acquaintance at you on John? Okay, and that's the way you ask someone, do they know John? So, well, athna agat Hyun. Well, athna agat Hyun. And if you want to say no, you say Neil. And you say, I don't know him. Neil athna agam
Neil agam
Okay, Neil athna agam So how would you say, do you know Mary? Erwaira. Okay, Erwaira. And how do you say yes? And how do you say I know her? Or he. Or he. So I have knowledge on her. Okay? So that's used for acquaintance, someone. Okay? And if you want to ask someone to introduce you, then you say, put in acquaintance with me, this person. Okay? So, Kur in Athnadom e ledaho. So introduce him to me, please. So Kur and Afna is put into acquaintance. Dom for me or to me. A, him. Lidaho, please. Kur and Afna Dome, Lidaho. Okay, so now we can go back to number 11. Kuru, Madgun, and Afnado. So he was introduced to Madgun. This is again that word like we had Falshu was published. Kuru was put. So Madgun was put in acquaintance with him. Kuru, Madgun, and Afnado. I guess